What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at From Glory to Goo. We played a demo of this game a little while back, and I've put about 15 hours into the game as of the time of this recording, and I think it may be one of my favorite titles that I've played in quite a long time here on the channel. I hold this one in very, very high regard. For those of you that have never seen this game before and may be curious about what it actually is, it's like They Are Billions. This is a game where you're a team of space marines that have deployed down onto an alien planet, and ultimately you have to survive for like 180 days until the ship is repaired and can carry you away. However, it doesn't just create a copy of They Are Billions. This game actually innovates on top of that and adds a roguelite layer. It adds a shipbuilding layer. It has many different enemies and many different kind of like captains and permutations you can play as. And so the game is very interesting, and I've been very, very addicted to it. The game is currently in early access. If you wanted to play it for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. Should be pretty easy to track on down. You'll also find a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream, just in case you wanted to hang out live there as well. But for now, let's take a look at the game. Let's figure out if it's something that you want to play. So the UI is pretty simple in this game. You've got manpower. Manpower produces effort, which is the baseline thing you need to build anything. From there, you've got water, which lets you build buildings that give you more manpower. They consume water by existing. And then you've got power, which is transmitted through these streets right here, which gives the game kind of a Factorio sort of logistical layer that I think is very, very compelling and fun to play around with by comparison to some of its peers. From there, we've got a number of different buildings we can build, but we're playing the robot faction right now. We're playing as the androids. There are different captains, and each of these captains, which is this big guy right here, they subtly change your tech tree, and they subtly change the way that you play the game. So for an example, I'm playing as the cyborgs. That means that none of my units will ever cost me manpower, except for like the few marines that are left over. I manufacture all my soldiers, but they're slow, they don't hit that hard, and they die very, very easily. Compared to the Admiral, which is the other hero that I have right now, he has all Space Marines, and they're kind of like the Protoss. They're very expensive, but they're also very good, and they deal a lot of damage, and they're fast, and all that kind of stuff. There are other heroes you can unlock in this build. I think there's 6 of them total. I haven't unlocked any of them because it's kind of an undertaking. You've got to do some pretty crazy stuff to unlock some of the heroes. They're kind of like achievements, I guess. But I've got 2 of the heroes right now, and I'm pretty close to, I think, getting the flamethrower guy. But for the moment, I'm playing as the androids, which means I'm kind of like the Zerg force. I can build up cheap, large armies that are effective en masse. And the early game right now, it's day 1. We have till day 33 when our first horde comes in. So we kind of need to get to work here. And we need to start looking around and figuring out our choke points and how we can kind of batten down the hatches and keep ourselves safe. A safe bet at the early part of the game with your plus 20 water is just to build housing, but don't build your housing on the grass. You're going to need that for water harvesting. And so we'll actually start off with water harvesting right here. So there's our first water tower. We will probably also do something similar right there, but I actually wanted to save a little bit of this for building houses. So let me go back and build some houses real quick. The game does have push pause if you're the kind of player that enjoys that. I personally feel like in a single-player RTS, there's absolutely no excuse to not have push pause. It's basically an expected standard in the industry right now. So I'm glad to see that there. It looks like we've got an area that we should be able to block off over here on the right. I need to take a look down this way and figure out what we got going on down here. And we need to start clearing in directions and figuring out what our tiles look like. The maps are procedurally generated. That means through no luck, or I guess through no fault of your own, you can get really, really hard maps in this game. Maps that are pretty gnarly and difficult to work your way through, and then other times you get maps that are an absolute breeze and take almost no effort to win at. It kind of depends what you get, and I think that's part of the spice that makes the game entertaining for me, I suppose. We're sitting on top of 200 effort right now, and we do have a decent amount of water, so I would suggest that at this junction we start putting in power grid. And in fact, I'm probably just going to run power grid back from over there. And we'll just kind of like, I guess I can just move that one, I suppose. We'll move that one forward so that I don't have to rearrange the power grid at all. And then we'll put that guy right there, and that should boost up our power a little bit. Our hero, he levels up. You can see that right here. And every time you level up, you get an ability that's sort of Vampire Survivors like. It makes your hero much more rad to play around with. And so we've got a laser orbiter. We've got an ability, which let us throw a cryo grenade, or we can get a shield, that will occasionally buff the armor of our surrounding units. I'm going to go with the laser orbiter because it basically gives us a free rifleman that travels around with us and makes it easier for us to clear out areas. We don't want to spend too much time this early in the game getting wild and crazy, putting out thumpers and extending our territory. Instead, we kind of just want to get the bare bones basics set up for a strong economy. This game, much like They Are Billions, is economy, economy, economy. If you're not working on your economy, you're doing it wrong. Let's wipe that all out right there, so that's good. We've got a nice little angle over here we can work towards. I need to start gathering metal so that I can build walls. Without metal, I can't build walls, so we got to get some metal harvested on up. There's also another layer to this game. The leader of the enemy faction. We got the brain this time. So not only are there a bunch of different enemy factions you can fight against and a bunch of heroes you can play as, every single army also has kind of a different commander, which changes the way that they play. This one right here means that there's a lot more aliens in every wave, and that's about it. And apparently there's a lot more mutants in the waves as well. I've pretty consistently in this game on normal difficulty made it to the final wave, so it's not an incredibly difficult game if you have any experience of something like They Are Billions prior to the playing of the game. But if you haven't played a game like that, the game does have an easy mode. I've beaten the game on the easy mode, and it's not that bad at all. There's an enemy up in the mountains right there. Sometimes they glitch out and spawn in the mountains. Or I guess that's not a glitched out one, but I have had glitched out ones before that are underneath the mountain. But we got to kill this guy right here before we can build this wall that's going to run its way around our territory. I also have enough right now. I gotta work on my economy. I'm not getting enough effort. You want this number to consistently be above 200. So we want to work on that, I think. We do have a lot of water, which is going to help with working on that. If you've noticed the way that I've built that, there's a reason I built it that way. There's a building you can put in the center that acts as a multiplier for all of the effort you're getting out of that housing complex, which gives it a little bit of almost like a loop hero feeling, I guess, where if you place your tiles correctly, you get a fat bonus. All right, so we've got that area cleared on out. We got to kill they do, by the way, they burrow into the ground when their HP gets low, and then they'll resurface with a little bit more health. Let's go ahead and murder that guy right there. I'm going to need to put a turret down because they're all up on me. All right, that's all taken care of. Can I get that guy right there? Where are the rest of these mobs at? Perfect. All right, so with our 200 labor that we have right now, we're going to want to put in a metal mine. So we'll go ahead and put that in right there. We probably want to put in a secondary one over here as well, just to make sure that we have really, really good crystal flow. Sorry, not metal, crystals. And then from there, we're kind of just waiting on our cash to file on in. Our hero has leveled up through all that conflict and violence, and so I can get an audio stimulator, which gives me an ability that makes all my units fire faster. They'll shoot bullets quite a bit quicker. We can get a Carillion gas canister that melts guys, or we can get a shield. I'll probably take the shield. The shield sounds okay. I feel pretty solid on the shield front. I'm going to push out a little bit further and see what I can get done here as the cycles flow along. You only get one delivery of goodies per day, so keep that in mind, and that's dictated by how well you're doing on the surface. As soon as this comes off cooldown, put a turret right there. I want it to start acing some of these bad guys that are going to be trickling on in. And then with the 353 that we currently have, I think that one of our best investments for right now is to continue working on our... Yeah, let's continue working on our mining right there. That sounds like a really good plan. Androids are holding people off on that side. I've got most of these areas walled off now, at least with one soldier in each area to hold them back. And then I wanted to push down this way a little bit further too. And in pushing down this way a little bit further, we have enough at the moment to build ourselves another water tower. Be forewarned, the water towers do use up a lot of space. So it's gonna take some getting used to building around them and making this whole thing work without it all falling apart. Your economy in this game is a very, very fragile beast. You want to cultivate it, you want it to grow, but you don't want to overdo it in any direction. Otherwise, you'll bottleneck yourself and be in big trouble. And this is a good time to introduce you to the ship mechanics as well. As you can see, we have a ship that is orbiting the planet. This ship can do things like give us Gatling guns that fire at the surface, death lasers, all that kind of stuff. They can also supply us with labor. They can help our economy out if we take care of this ship. You can see that our Marines right now are fighting off a boarding party of aliens that have caught them. And a whole different part of this game is that you've got to manage your ship. You've got to make sure you've got enough crew, enough thrust, and enough power to both assist the war effort down here on the planet and also keep your ship from being caught by the bad guys, which I actually think is a really, really cool thing. I like that feature a lot, and I'm hoping they continue to work on it. You can also see that I'm starting to develop out my walls. I'm getting there. I'm not there yet, but, you know, getting myself walled off before the first wave feels like a really, really strong play to me. And then over here, I think I'd like to expand out a little bit further. Like, we don't have a lot of breathing room over here, and I would like to actively have breathing room, so I'm going to deploy a turret over there and just have my turret kind of slaughter everything. Where am I under attack at? Oh, wall's under attack right there. We'll just assign an android to it. It'll be fine. Just like in They Are Billions, this game is going to probe your defenses frequently. They are constantly going to be sending just one or two guys to try to find holes in your walls or in your strategy. Watch yourself. It's a great way to get into trouble. So what we need to do over here is I need to put that right there, and then I need to put in a thumper. And with the thumper in, I also need to dedicate to my power grid a little bit. My power grid is sort of not great right now, and I would like for it to be great. We've got a decent economy spinning up right now, but we've still got like 15 days till we get attacked, so we're going to want to work on it. On top of that, we need to get a barracks up and running so that we can start stamping out units that will help us in our war effort. I think you go watch that wall down there, I guess. And so now that I got my base entirely walled off, which is honestly job one in this title, you really, really need to get your base seen to and take care of it. There's also a tech tree that you can play around with. The tech tree is different depending on what faction you're playing as. You'll have some things that are commonality and shared between every single commander that you play as, but it does reorder things and like move them around sometimes. I thought that the gun turret was on tier 1 for one of the factions that I played as, but I'm not so sure. We got another level up over here. We can get 10 free research points. We can get regenerative nanobots, which means that our androids repair after being destroyed sometimes. We've got side projects, which means that if we start building manufactories on our spaceship, every time they drop off loot, they'll also drop off robots. So I'll probably go with that right there just to bolster out my ranks a little bit. And then with what I have on me right now, it's time for us to get a barracks. That sounds pretty good. So I think I'll probably just slam... Oh, I need 300 for the barracks. Unfortunate, because we need to, like, kind of toughen our forces, too. Send the drone to go deal with that guy real fast. He's trying to creep on in. He's trying to pull a fast one on me. He's trying to pull a sneaky on me. All right, now we have our resources for a barracks. We'll put that right there, which I think should work out fine, just fine. Hopefully they can still walk in between that right there. I think they can. Yeah, there's a gap right there, so I think we're good. I think we could also probably get away with adding a few more houses, should we really desire to do so. We still have a little bit of water left. We're out of space to harvest for water, but after the first wave, I'm thinking I'm going to push out pretty hard in this direction to grab this grass and to grab this geyser right here for water production as well. So I'm not really that worried about it. Let's go ahead and just drop in 2 more houses. And then from there, we need to save our money for the first wave, because we're only going to build defenses on the side that the enemy attacks. I'm also going to send my Marines in. We started out adjacent to an enemy spawn, which is kind of bad for us, so I'm going to like send them in to go deal with that real fast. I don't know if I really have the Marines to knock them out, but it looks like we're winning right now, and they should slowly respawn from the armory. We kind of spread ourselves a little bit thin on that one, but it'll be okay. Now, I've got more power grid set up. The initial turrets that you start out with, they draw from your power grid every time they fire. You're going to want that to be above like 150 if you're planning on using energy weapons for the most part to protect your stuff. The game does have quality of life that allows you to repair every single building in your base instantaneously. The attack is coming from this side. Lovely. Okay. Don't know exactly what I want to do about that, but I know what I'm going to do about that, and it's called put in some towers. So we're going to want to have a tower like right there, And judging by the angle, we're probably going to want to have another tower over here somewhere too. Unfortunately, this right here is kind of like a makeshift solution to the problem that's about to hit us. I'm not planning on leaving this how it is. I'm going to extend the wall out over here and take that, and then I'm going to have a little wall right here that overtakes that. Try not to leave too many small wall sections, though. The enemy tends to do a number to small wall sections. I don't know if it'll actually let me put in a tower right there. That's going to be a temporary tower. That's not going to be there permanently. We're going to delete that a little bit later. But those 2 towers should be enough to get us through the first wave. And then we can spend money on more fun stuff like fixing up our ship. So I'm going to throw 20 crystals at fixing up that bulkhead over there and getting that thing up and running. I definitely need that crystal field right there before too long as well. So hopefully we can get to it before things get a little bit too hectic. I have soldiers on each wall protecting everything. Eventually we're going to have a laser on each of these just protecting it and making sure the trickle of enemies doesn't break through anywhere. There are enemy flying units though, so watch out for that. They like to pull crafty moves like flying over the mountain here and wiping out your barracks. On top of that, I think it probably wouldn't be the worst idea to dump a little bit of resources into just getting some robots before this wave arrives. And so the horde is on its way. Sometimes they can take twists and turns. If you've ever played They Are Billions, you'll know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it looks like they're coming from one side, but due to things you can't see, they have to arc all the way around to a different side. That's how I lose the majority of my games, is just the horde taking a really weird swing on me. Can you get him from right there? No, you can't get him from right there. That's a bummer. You're going to have to go out and handle that then while we wait for the horde to arrive. Sorry, little robot. It's all on you, man. Here they come. They are arriving. Let's get all of our soldiers in position. Have them pull over to here and start helping out with some demolitions. We'll put a turret over on that side just to help out with a little bit of killing force. And we hold. That's pretty much all that we can do for right now is we hold and we hope that we make it through the wave. They are making pretty good progress on that wall right there. We've got a cooldown still remaining on our turret before we can redeploy it. Our turret's just about dead, but it looks like we pulled through the first wave with aplomb. So let's go ahead and take these guys back over to this side because I've already started building a thumper over here. There's also a water crate that I want very, very dearly. And so I'm going to try to claim that for myself. So we'll take our standing army. We're almost capped out on resources. What I want to do with that, I don't know, but I know the smart move is to put it into robotics because we need to put robotics into there to really ramp our economy up into kind of like end game quality. Over here, I'm hoping I can turn this into a very satisfactory water farm. We'll send them on in. We will deploy a turret over there to start dealing with them to clear a little bit faster. That's a spawner right there, so we definitely need that to go. The enemy does have special units. Watch out for them. They have shooters. They have spitters. They have all kinds of nasty things that will one-shot your Marines and your androids. And so keep your eyes open. They've got everything from artillery to other nastiness. That 15 water is going to help out very, very much with our colony building. I need this to run over to here. And I'm going to need another thumper on that side. We do have a lot of enemies attacking down here, though. They're almost through the gate. So we want that android to be shooting at them, too. I'm not going to worry about it too much for the moment because I've got clearing to do, and we've only got like 25 days to do it in. Our Marines are under attack yet again, but we did wipe out the enemy hive. If you're wondering why my ship's getting attacked so much, it's because our thrust isn't very strong. We got to work on the old thrusters so that we can outrun the aliens, and then the ship will get outrun a lot less. All right, so now that that's there, we need another thumper on this side. I'm going to try to run it all the way over to there. So we're going to try to go like gap to gap over here, I think, and then reconnect the wall on that side. That would be the way that I would prefer to do it here. Can you kill that mob so I can fix my walls? Robotics is done, so we can now add our robotics to the center right here on both those tiles. It's going to drain our power a little bit, but these little robotic centers right here just make our houses much more efficient at producing labor, which is usually, for me, the stopgap. Lasers. For me personally, I feel like my typical bottleneck for my entire economy is almost universally effort. And so I'm trying to keep my effort nice and high for right now. You guys fight back over this direction, and we're going to start building some walls over here. The clearing is going reasonably well over here. They've had a couple of extra units in here that have actually given me a little bit of a headache. But I think we should be okay. I think. And so what I'm going to do is we're just going to knock out this wall over here real fast. We're going to take that over. You watch over it for a second. And while they do that, we need a little bit of goodies to come over here. And we need this to line up, like, perfectly. Unfortunately, that's sort of where we're at. And so I need a gatehouse right here. And then I need to run this all the way over to there. And we kind of got to shoot the gap over here, which sort of sucks. There's no way to get rid of these ore fields, nor would you really want to get rid of them because you need these ore fields later on. Necessity is going to force us to take these ore fields over here so that we can get one of the advanced resources, which is ore. There's also isotopes, which are in there as well. And so you're going to have to get all that stuff before you're going to be able to go fully down the tech tree and get kind of like mayhemmed out with it. But our walls are coming together strong right now. I'm actually pretty happy with our economy. I'm pretty happy with where we're at the moment. I don't feel like we're struggling right this second. I feel like things are good, and we're like in a spot to sort of like future-proof and make this thing happen. I'm also going to build another thruster on the ship right there, which should increase our thrust efficiency and help us avoid combats on the ship. Because if your ship is in combat, it can't help you with orbital weapons or anything else. It just like kind of locks down that piece of your economy until further notice. And now that things are looking a lot better, we want to think about what we want to do with this little strip of land over here. And I'm going to mine it. I've already made up my mind. That's exactly what's happening to this strip of land over here. I'm going to get another metal harvester because I like this number to be above 20. We can also probably start getting rid of... Sir, can you handle that for me? Thank you. It's actually probably time to start putting turrets on all these walls just to protect them. From just the random little biters that come through, so that I don't have to babysit them anymore. I believe I see the problem. There's a spawner on this left-hand side. But I think the game's really, really great. The only complaints I have about the game, let's get into that, because there's a couple things. Building vertically is, like, impossible in this game. It's a huge pain, and yet the game expects you to defend vertical passageways pretty frequently. The problem is that these guys right here, they don't transfer power diagonally. And so building vertically to block off areas is like a really, really, really huge pain in the ass. You've got to kind of jimmy rig the whole thing together, and it takes forever. I would also like to see painter tools for getting rid of walls and like deleting things and stuff like that, because it takes a really, really long time to get rid of walls and things that you don't want anymore. We got defenses up over there. Let's get some defenses up over here too. Our economy is just killing it right now. Just absolutely just a murderous economy. And we made it to tier 2, which is great. So we can get a gun turret, we can get factories. Since I don't have access to metals or anything yet, I probably won't, but you can. Other things that I've noticed along the way is sometimes the map generation can give you like unwinnable situations. I strongly suggest before you dedicate like 2 hours to a run, that you kind of just like sit down and look at the maps that you're given and sort of just figure out, like, what are potential things that can go wrong here, but frequently it's because of ore. So ore will block off a passageway, and I've lost a couple games because there's a gap in some mountains, but the ore completely blocks it, and you can't build any constructors or anything that go through ore, and you can't get rid of it either, which just leaves a glaring hole in the side of your base. That's going to be something that's going to need, like, kind of a workaround, because it's happened 2 or 3 times now in the last 15 hours that I've played the game. It's not usually a massive concern, but it can torpedo a run, especially if it's up close to your base, like over here, and it just makes it impossible to like wall off and defend the area. You have to fall back on kind of cheesy strategies like scratching posts and things like that in order to make it work. However, those things being said, I do think the game has a really fantastic graphical art style. I love the way the game looks. Like, I really, really adore the kind of like SimCity 2000 thing that they did with the art and the animation. Looks like they're coming in from the north. We already prepped for that. I would like to get a mine in over here somewhere to like grab some of that, but I think we're going to have to expand out more. I'm hoping that's a dead end right there. but I don't think it is, because the ideal situation here would just be walling this off in between the next wave in order to get access to all of this ore over here, which will let us get more advanced units, which we are definitely gonna need if we want to win the game for sure. We're gonna need it quite badly. Let's throw some of our extra crystals. Yeah, let's throw some of our extra crystals into some constructions on the ship, I guess, because crystals are coming in pretty fast right now, and I don't want to waste them. The next wave of enemies should have artillery, I think, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Alright, so the horde is on its way in. I'm not entirely convinced that I'm ready for this horde. This might be a little bit of an ugly one, but it'll be a nice segue into us going out to the menu and taking a look at what the game has to offer in order to give you kind of like a different gameplay experience from a lot of the other titles like this that you may have played in the past. We'll go ahead and start the research on the gun turret while we're in the neighborhood too. And I'm going to have to figure out how to button all this down. Maybe I'll just extend the wall over to there so that I get access to the iron or whatever. Maybe that's what I'll do. I haven't decided yet. So it looks like we got a couple of flyers coming on in, trying to make mayhem. The good news is flyers are faster than the rest of the horde, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem. We do have a lot of enemies over there. I would suggest that we drop in a turret just to kind of like whittle at the sides of them, because the turret more or less like one-shots whatever it hits. But they do have artillery. The good news is the artillery is going after the turret rather than going after our walls. So that may give us a little reprieve that makes life a little simpler over here. Power grid's holding up. I am now officially holding my breath. They've made it through a couple of our wall tiles. We're going to pull the army back a little bit, I was going to say, because they're going to start nuking us. And man, mortar fire in this game, it hurts. Don't get hit by mortar fire. Mortar fire is shockingly painful in this title. They did make it through the walls, so we're going to have to do something about that. I'm going to send the main force out to go kill the artillery. And like, yeah, it looks like we're going to have to run a wall just straight up this way, which is going to necessitate a lot of thumpers, and that's going to kind of suck. But we made it through 2 waves. Not too bad. We do need to get access to iron this wave, though, so that we can start putting out God's chosen unit, the mortar team. These guys are disgusting. A 20 stack of these guys can do ridiculous things. Mortar guys. Trust me. We also have some other units in there. There's flamers. There's a centurion who's kind of like a sniper. He's like a walker robot, I guess. A rocket orbiter. Ooh, that's pretty spicy. Yeah, I'll take a rocket orbiter. Hell yeah, throw that on in there. Definitely take that, Captain. That's the good stuff. But let's go back out to the menu. So in going back out to the menu, there were some things that I wanted to show you in here. So about a month after the game releases, they're putting in the laboratory. When you win the game, you get alien biomass. I'm guessing that this is going to be perks for all of your units and all of your walls and things like that, that you spend biomass making it better. So that's only like 4 weeks away. Inside survival mode, as of right now, there's 4 maps that you can play on, all completely procedural. There's 4 difficulties that you can play around with, 4 lengths of the game you can play around with. Right now, there's 2 factions you can play against, either the robots or the goo. There's 6 captains in the game at the moment that unlock via doing achievements. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm halfway there with the flamethrower guy. 150% score modifier is going to be tough. Killing a tribal camp, oh yeah, there's aliens. You can do diplomacy in this game. It's not very complex, but you can meet aliens and you can convince them to join your side, or you can exterminate them. I haven't done it yet. I've made friends with them one time. There's also different ship layouts you can play as that are different speeds, but they all come with different bonuses. So like this guy tells you the horde is coming 2 days earlier and what direction they're coming from. This guy right here starts out with a cannon already unlocked that you can bombard the enemy with. It's very, very good, but it's very small. But your Marines, they get a lot stronger when defending this craft. They get a 30% bonus. And so there's just, it's chock-a-block, dude. The game is fantastic. It's sitting at mixed reviews right now, which makes no sense to me. I don't think any of the complaints I have about the game are considerable enough to make me leave a negative review on this. I'm all glowing. I think it's really, really great. It's got some good quality of life in there. I'd like to see a little bit more. but it's early access, and so hopefully those things will get smoothed on out as the game develops. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today we're checking out From Glory to Goo. Tomorrow we'll be checking out something else. Thank you for sharing your time with me, and I gotta get back to playing the game. See ya.